Hello, everyone, and welcome to this chapter of the Dynamite book. I'm very discombobulated. They packed a lot into that last few minutes. There's a lot to talk about. So we're going to get into it. But without any further ado, this is Dani's first official episode as a co-host of the Dynamite book. So excited to have you on permanently going forward.
This is so exciting, but there's so much to get into.
Yes. And so we're going to start from the very beginning. Dynamite got started with wrestling, a lot of wrestling, but for those of you who everybody's coming in, go ahead, pull up a seat. If you want to show some love, you can donate via Slam Chats. Right there, so going around across the bottom. So we started off with some hardcore wrestling with Jon Moxley versus Jeff Hardy. Now look, hey, listen, man. Jeff got out that tag team, and he said, "I'm Jeff Hardy, bitch." Like, I'm Jeff Hardy.
Don't forget. And you know what? I tweeted before the match started. I was like, you know what? It feels kind of mean to ask Jeff Hardy to go back to back like this. It do. Because we were just on here last week talking about, hold on, Jeff Hardy, hold on. So I was nervous. I certainly was. But no, I had fun. I felt like it was an appropriate amount of fun. You know, it did go on a little bit long for my liking. But I don't know. Did you feel like it was like a good length?
Oh, I thought it was a great. My thing. Okay, so this was my problem with the length. Okay. The problem with the length is because I wasn't expecting Jeff Hardy to be able to last that long. So I was just like, is he going to gas out? Is he going to gas out? But like as the match kept going on, and I keep seeing, like, I said, oh, he hooping. Like he got it. Like I was even more like astonished of just like, ain't no way that you hooping like that in 2024.
I'm not saying the problem was Matt Hardy, but the problem was Matt Hardy in every aspect of the word. Come on, man. Like we could have been having this the whole time. Instead, we was doing, you know, but anyway, no. So I thought it was good. I thought Mox, he don't miss. So he came across exactly the way he needed to. The CMLL angle was so interesting to me. I don't watch a lot of CMLL. I dabble. But everybody was very excited about that, and they're doing that versus the BCC next week. So I'm excited to see what they got to offer too.
I agree. I think that they did a great job of presenting CMLL as a big deal, and I think that AEW has been pushing this as like it's a big deal, which I think is great for people who aren't familiar with CMLL. Like I don't personally watch a lot of CMLL, which I'm trying to change this year. I said that this year, that is one of the promotions that I do want to expand and watch more. It's just like watching Lucha is different just because of like how like they actually put out the shows. Everybody has their own things. But having them in the audience was great. Them beating up Mox was great. Like just, you know, in the suits and stuff, and then coming and jumping him afterwards. I said, oh my God, Mox is getting cooked. He looked up, he was getting stomped out with Tim's. I said,
I said, girl, what happened? Cause I don't know. I said, did I miss something? Why is everybody so mad? You know, I think but I thought also I was sitting there watching it, and they were like, yeah, the locker room's emptying. I was like, don't you have a whole little group? Where y'all are?
They're not there.
I know, but like still, I'm like, shoot, ain't that the point of being in a group?
They said this is they like LIJ. They are a collection of individuals.
Figure it out.
But I loved the match. I think that both guys did a great job. It's crazy to think like with people who've had such illustrious careers as both Jon Moxley and Jeff Hardy, this was their first time ever wrestling each other. Yes, this was the first time matchup, but it exceeded all expectations. Like I've said before, Jon Moxley is in the best shape ever. He looks fantastic. He's cut a lot of weight, which telling me he's getting ready for something. I think he's getting an IWGP Heavyweight Championship shape. Listen, Windy City Riot is coming up. He has Tetsuya Naito in front of him, but he did a little thing. After the match, when he stood up on the turnbuckles, Mox did this.
Oh my God.
Me think that Big Kazoo,
Cash Money Kazu, please.
Cash Money Kazoo at Revolution.
I didn't see that. Okay. I was making cookies, to be totally honest. So I missed the very end of that. I didn't see that. Look.
He sure did. This was right before they jumped him. So this was in between the match ending and right before CMLL jumped him. He got up on the turnbuckle, did this.
Guys, it might be time.
And so what it was also funny too, he tried to shake Jeff Hardy's hand. He said, no, he said, Mark said, what you said for me for?
What I do? No, I think the Jeff Hardy heel turn, whatever they're gonna do with that, I'm not particularly interested in what comes next in his storyline. But I think it's fun. I think it's fun to disrespect people. I think
it's probably gonna be beating Matt ass. I ain't gonna lie to you. It might be beating up Matt Hardy.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
Somebody in the chat said Miss Dani was on Twitter manifesting he go to WWE.
I was playing.
I'm not gonna lie. When you wrote that article, I said, "Oh, they never gonna let her live that down." They're never gonna let her live that down.
I thought it would. I was at work. I thought it would be so funny, and then I put it out, and I was like, "Oh, people not laughing." And then when I tweeted during the Rumble, I was like, "Did Pat McAfee take Okada's spot?" And everybody was like, "No, why would you say that? He's still under contract." I said it was for a giggle. Y'all don't want to tee hee.
I ain't gonna lie. I hate to be that person, but that fan base has found nothing funny over the last week. And you know what? If I wasn't able to sign any free agents, I wouldn't find anything funny either. I was thinking
during shit to laugh about.
I was actually thinking during Dynamite this week. I was thinking tonight. I was like, damn. If I wasn't an AEW fan, I would hate AEW fans right now. Because this is like, y'all getting everything y'all want.
Mm-hmm.
Are y'all actually getting everything y'all want? This is a crazy feeling.
And look, and we talked about it last week, but like AEW is pretty good usually at like responding, you know, to what the audience wants, what the audience needs. The other company not so much. And look, I just wanted to bring a little tee-hee, a little giggle, but also since we have this platform, I'm gonna say real quick, there are way too many people afraid to do the hard things. In the nicest way possible, be better. That's all.
Period. So there's a lot happening in this picture right now, but it was announced at the end of Dynamite that next week it will be the BCC. I forgot what combination is it, Yuta or Brian? I didn't even look at the graphic long enough because I saw
Claudio and
Claudio. Yeah. It's the BCC. I think it's Brian.
It must have been Yuta because I feel like I would have remembered if it was Brian.
I think it's Brian.
Really?
But I'm not sure. It doesn't matter.
I'm happy either way. Just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be there. Versus the luchadors from CMLL. So that's currently where we're heading on that front. And obviously, Brian will, it is Brian. I just checked. So Brian will be facing, what's his name? Hikiro. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm excited. On Collision this weekend. So that's going to be cool. Up next, after that, we went straight into some more wrestling. And I would like to say, I love when AEW starts off with just wrestling. For too long, we was just kicking off with just talking. And that grinds my gears. It's not that bad. Like, like the other day when we had Samoa Joe open and Hook for like the first 6 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah.
But opening up with these 20-minute promos, no, never again. No, enough.
Are you referencing perchance a former world champion?
Yes, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Yes. No. But we went straight into more wrestling. And I would like to say, Toa Leona, I would like to apologize to you because I was not familiar with your game. I knew you was cool. I knew you was all right. I did not know you were hooping like that. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of us didn't say it out loud, you know, because everybody loves Hangman. Everybody loves this Hangman Swerve feud. So when it was announced that Toa Leona was going to be Hangman's partner, none of us said it out loud, but we was like,
I did.
Oh well. Yeah. Well, at least we got one real bitch in the room.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, well, we had at least one person. But yeah, most of us didn't say anything, but we were like totally on it, like, oh, okay. Especially once it started being hinted that it was Swerve's opponent was gonna be RVD. I was like, oh, give us a surprise or something. Let me tell you something, Mr. Toleona.
Riddle me surprised.
You got that dog in you.
And you know
this
what?
This match was flames, like fire in the heat
for no reason. And you know what? I was sitting there and I was like, have I been missing something? Has Toa Leona been killing it as a single star and I just ain't been watching? But in reality,
he's never really wrestled as a single star.
He's never really, you know, and so I just have to say, I am, if nothing, an equal opportunity hater. So yeah. I'm a hate off rip, but if you prove me wrong, I'll hold that L. I was absolutely very vocal of being like, all right, I don't really want to see Hangman versus Toa Leona. I did want to see it. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was great. Hangman was bumping his ass off. Toa Leona had Hangman out there looking like he was Darby Allin, just ragdolling that man. Mm-hmm. I loved it.
I mean, no notes. That like when I say y'all, I might have to go back and rewatch that one. Because y'all was bumping.
And I wasn't ready for it either. So they started moving. I said, okay, hold on.
And the finish of that match to like roll out of the Deadeye.
The Deadeye, yeah.
And then go into the Samoan drop. And for Hangman to turn the Samoan drop into a roll-up.
Mm-hmm. Nasty. And when Toa Leona went for that moonsault on the outside, and I said, well, what are you doing that for?
They were wrestling. That is wrestling. They were wrestling. Like, that's real wrestling. That's real graps. I would have took my shirt off if I could. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's go. And we fully sitting up. Like, I was pumped. And I thought, you know, it was one of those things where, like, obviously you knew Hangman was going to win that match. But I'm sitting there for half a second and I'm like, well, who knows? Because the way they was going, I said, well, I believe it. It's so much fun to buy into things, you know? And we had lots of matches tonight where I was like, well, you know, I'm in it.
Absolutely. I completely agree. One more point on the match before that I forgot about. It seems like they're running a CMA LL invasion angle. So I'm interested to see how this impacts Forbidden Door.
Oh, yeah.
I'm interested to see how this impacts Forbidden Door. Obviously, CMLL was already New Japan's partner. Somebody, I think it was Kaden on Twitter, had the great idea. CMLL and New Japan versus AEW for Forbidden Door. I think that would be, you know, a blast. Just wanted to say that first. But going back to Toa Leona versus Hangman, listen. Hey, the one thing about AEW right now, how did they end up with a better roster of Samoans than...
That's crazy. Amen.
Toa Leona has only been wrestling since 2020.
Dead ass?
Seriously. No joke.
Wow.
He's only been wrestling since 2020. And the fact that he's in his 30s, so he picked up wrestling fairly late in life. Wow. He reminds me a lot of the Saito brothers over in Japan in that way. But this man is a monster. Agile, big, strong, flexible,
believable, quick.
Incredible. Him and Samoan Joseph, AEW, they got their own bloodline. Okay, like it's just
that's what they're saying.
It's kind of insane.
And before we move on, Hangman,
Oh,
His lower third said mustache, and I said, "Oh, that's for me." So, I just wanted to recognize. I felt very seen. It was yeehaw,
yeehaw, gang.
anyway.
Bucks promo next. Matthew and Nicholas.
I love them. I love it.
Matthew and Nicholas pull up to work. They put that shit on as always. And you know, Nick Jackson, and I mean my fault. Nicholas Jackson find somebody. Actually find somebody. Did Matthew Jackson was like, okay, he just get a little wild sometimes, you know. But you still pay that $500. You still gotta pay that $500. Be cool, you know, like it. They ate that. I had a feeling they were going to resurface later in the night, and they did. But moving on, we had Wardlow come out with the Undisputed Kingdom and had Adam Cole on commentary versus Commander. This was a good match. It does look like Wardlow tweaked his knee in this match. I'm gonna be honest. Wardlow doesn't really do it for me, but obviously, like, I don't want him to be injured or anything. So I hope that he's fine, but I don't know what's not clicking.
I will say I had fun with Wardlow this week because to me, this week he was doing some things that I hadn't seen before.
I did like that. He was pulling out some new stuff,
and I was like, okay, if you keep trying new things and maybe keep evolving, maybe we can get it all to click. So this week I was watching the Wardlow match as like an individual, you know, one-off type match instead of like the Wardlow whole type beat, if that makes sense. So I enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought, Wardlow is actually displaying some of his unique abilities because he has qualities that he should be, like we talked about, he should be that guy.
Absolutely.
He has everything essentially there, besides packaging, presentation, and promos, but all those things aside, in the ring. Was that shady?
Girl, that's almost everything.
Oh, well, if you round up, but anyway. So I thought the match was fun. I thought everything about Wardlow in this match came off as believable. You know, everything he did, I said, okay, he lived. I believe that.
Absolutely. I liked the versatility of the moveset. I think that we had gotten to a point. We have gotten to a point. We've long been at the point, actually, to the point where I don't want to see him do another powerbomb. I'm so sick of powerbomb. Like, I'm so sick of his powerbombs. Like, so, you know, I'm glad that we got to see something different.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, you know, he won the match, but it looked like he tweaked his knee a little bit. But after that, the Undisputed Kingdom start jumping Commander. Orange Cassidy makes the save. Obviously, you know, him and Roddy had the match coming up at Revolution. So there's that. And Adam Cole is still on crutches. So
yeah, he's on a wheelchair this time.
No movement there.
Yeah. But I also did think it was kind of funny because you had Adam Cole in the wheelchair and he needed it versus Roderick Strong, who's standing right there, and his whole bit was the wheelchair. That was funny to me.
That is.
But I also felt like the end of this match was just kind of like weird. I think the timing was off as far as when Orange Cassidy came in to make the save, when we cut and move on to the next thing. So I was like, I don't know. It just had a bit of a weird feeling, and I don't know if it was just me, but I was like, okay, let's work on fluidity of our shows.
The pacing.
Yeah.
So we have that match, and then after that, we went into the backstage, the sit-down interview with Ricky Starks and Big Bill versus Darby Allin and Sting. Obviously, next week in Phoenix, they will be having their match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And so I thought that this was good. I think that they did a great job of adding stakes to this match, because I'm going to be honest, like, I didn't particularly care about it outside of, Darby and Sting are going to finally win the titles. But I think that this did a really good job of like adding some story to it. You know, I feel like Ricky Starks' best strength is definitely on the mic. And so whenever he's in the opportunity to be able to just utilize that, I think that's really where he's at his strongest. And I think that Big Bill has just exceeded all expectations.
Yeah.
And Darby and Sting are just always solid. Like, you know, they are a given. They're always going to give 100%, and they're always going to be over with the crowds. And so,
and I liked this segment, like you said, because it gave something to the match next week. But also, I was sitting there and I was like, why don't they give Ricky Starks a live mic in his hometown? This is his strong suit.
I was wondering that as well. I did wonder that as well, especially since he did like
he was doing promo for it. Yeah. So I was a little bit, put off by that. I was like, I don't know why you would necessarily do that, especially knowing that they have this championship match next week and they're probably gonna lose. Like, I maybe would have gave him this moment. But I also thought that Darby came across very well on the microphone this time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he can be really hit and miss. Like, sometimes when you talk, you're like, this man is so on the cob, it's ridiculous. Other times, like tonight, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, he wants to fight. You know, this is realer to him than it has been in the past. And I'm excited to see what they do with Darby after Sting retires. And I felt like we could start with maybe our first singles feud for Darby being Ricky after this.
Yeah, and I also think I would put him personally in the either the Continental title picture or the international title picture. I think that, or honestly, to be quite honest, send him to Japan with Jack Perry. Like, I think send him the best of the Super Juniors or something. I don't know, shock me, pop me, wow me. You know, like I feel like after Sting retires, I think he's going to need
something,
a character refresh. Something. You know, like, actually, no, I'm lying. I know exactly where he's going. He's going to climb Mount Everest. Darby's going to be off TV.
Oh, yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, Darby's going to be off TV for a few months anyway.
So
but
maybe he'll come back as a new person.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest though, I'm worried about him climbing Everest.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
I'm like,
also he was going through training, like just all beat up. And keep in mind, like, so I was at the press scrum after Wrestle Dream, and when I say like, I had to like, this is not funny at all, but like, I had to like, and I was on the front row too, so I had to like cover my mouth because like the knots all over his head was crazy. Like, that was right after the match with Christian, and they had.
Oh my God! I think about that neck bump all the time.
Boom! Like, I'm talking about like hit the knots all over his face. I said, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to the hospital really quick, right after this, but I got to get to training tomorrow for Mount Everest because I'm gonna climb that soon."
Here's my thing, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to. I feel like sometimes we lose sight of, who we are, and we think we have to do this above and beyond. I think maybe Darby should explore therapy because we've got some masochistic tendencies in the ring, and now you're trying to go up Everest. It doesn't feel necessary,
But you know what? It doesn't feel necessary for me. However, it's very on brand for him.
Yeah, but I'm like, have we tried anything else? Adult coloring books are all the rage right now. Let's try some things that are on the ground so that we can kind of balance a little bit better so our bodies still work when we're 45. I'm throwing it out there. You do you. I hope Everest goes well. I hope you come back a new man.
In the words of Beyonce, liberated, living like we ain't got time.
That's not for him though.
I mean,
also, happy Black History Month Eve.
Yes, happy Black History Month Eve. Black power, black power, black power. Yeah, you ain't gonna see my black ass climbing up Mount Everest. I'll tell you what.
Why would I? My people went through too much for me to have this. I'm not gonna
absolutely not. No, ma'am. Next, we had Kyle Fletcher versus Chris Jericho. It was a match that certainly happened. It was a match that happened on AEW Dynamite
tonight. You know what I will say? When Kyle Fletcher came out, my first thought was like, is he wearing pants? Like the gear that he had on with the way that the lighting flashed, I was like,
painted on.
I was like, is everybody okay? Like, what's going on? That was my first thought of the match, and that's what stuck with me. Jericho was there. Kyle Fletcher, I have plans for you, okay?
Yes.
I think, honest to God, I'm just going to put Takeshita in the United Empire when Ospreay gets here, and we're going to pretend like this whole bald dude never did anything.
Yep.
Exactly. And Hobbs, I'll figure it out. You know, I'll get back to you.
I'm going to get you out. Listen, I'll take him. Bro,
okay, cool.
We're going to get them out of there, even though I have a feeling, an inkling that Takeshita is going to face Ospreay at Revolution. I have an inkling that that's going to happen, but Kyle Fletcher, you're amazing. I hope that Mark Davis comes back soon. I like. Here's the thing. I feel like I love the Kyle Fletcher singles run, but let's just be really honest. Kyle Fletcher is 25. He's not smelling the world title picture like anytime soon, and I feel like the tag division just needs him much more. All right, I feel like the tag, but obviously, like right now, everything's fine. Mm-hmm. But when Mark Davis comes back,
when the moment comes,
well, like I need that Aussie Open versus Young Bucks and
Aussie Open clock in for me. Yeah.
Yes, Aussie Open versus the Young Bucks in Wembley Stadium. Yes.
Time to get serious.
Turn it up. Yeah, it's time to get to work. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So we have that. Kyle Fletcher looks great. Obviously, he's the ROH World Television Champion. I will say though, those entrances, that Judah's getting quieter.
Did you hear the boos?
I could barely hear Judas. I said, "Oh my God, why were there so many old people on the show tonight?" I'm gonna be honest. I'm typically against the old heads.
What are we considering old?
I guess. Well, you know, Jeff Hardy's 46, and both Jericho and RVD are 53. So
okay, so I'm gonna start measuring old as like anybody that's double my age. So I'm 21. So if you're 42 up, I'm gonna start calling you an old head. Go ahead.
I can't do that. Like I can't. I mean, I'm 25. I'm 25. So times 2, that's 50. I'm 50. So everybody would be 50. Everybody older than me is 50. And like the thing is, Bryan Danielson is 43. So like he's a GOAT. And like
he's fantastic.
Christian and Colt are 50 too. It just depends. I'm gonna be honest. Chris Jericho was the only old guy that I had a problem with being out there. You know, I can be honest. Jeff Hardy and RVD, they could stay. That after the performances they played tonight. Oh, the rankings are out. Let's see.
I was listening. I promise.
Well, you know what? Let's save the. Okay, I have them, but let's save those for the end. We'll go over the rankings.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. Chris Jericho was the only old guy that I had a problem with, because here's the thing. This is my thing. There's been too many times on AEW recently where the 50-year-olds made the 20-year-olds look crazy. Think about World's End. No, thank you for telling us that the rankings are out. We're just going to talk about them at the end, but thank you for telling us. But the thing about World's End, the card didn't turn around until Christian and Colt came out.
Mm-hmm. Some people have still got it, and some people are Chris Jericho. There's two different camps.
And also, like, the thing is, even with Jericho, of just like, I don't know what to say. Of just when he goes on these excursions, he's fine. Like, for example, so the DDT match versus Takeshita, he came alive in Ryogoku, but he comes over to America and it's just like crickets. It's like,
I feel like, honest to God, at this point, I watch all Chris Jericho matches just eyes closed, just a hater already. So I mean, but I also feel like Takeshita don't have bad matches. Like Kyle Fletcher wasn't going to look bad because that's just not something he does. So Jericho, ain't nobody worried about you. Please go home. And I tweeted also, I was like, there's nothing more painful than to think that some of these matches that Jericho's in, that was supposed to be Kenny. We could have been kings.
We was kings.
Yes. Oh
we could have. Yeah, you're 100% right. I do think that we've surpassed the need for
Chris Jericho.
I do. I mean, transition him to another role. Do what you got to, because I know they're not going to fire him. But on the on-screen product, with AEW being as hot as it is right now, and what the roster has right now, like I've said this before, and this doesn't just go for Jericho. This goes for a lot of people on that roster. After March, yesterday's price is not today's price. When I say even the mid-carders got to start averaging at least 4 stars a match. Everybody, you saw Toa Leona?
Exactly.
Everybody got to step it up. Even the jobbers have to come with it. Like, that roster is so stacked to the point of, if you know that you can't handle it, go. TNA hiring. WWE need people.
That's crazy.
Seriously, like, WWE need people. Probably get in that warehouse, go to TNA. But it's truly at this point, like, that roster is so stacked. Think about it. It's about to, the price of a brick is going up.
And you know what? Not everybody can be an all-star, but I'm going to need everybody to be a starter. All right? We don't need bench warmers. The bus is only so big. Okay?
We got to the women's and the division.
Exactly.
You see the women's division, like, hello, quote-unquote, faces of the division ain't on TV and everything.
Where's the damn dentist? But anyway.
That's another
So, Jericho, the way I say it on Black Girl Wrestling, I think that some of us should spend more time with our families.
Also, Takeshita, after that match, she looked beautiful. I just want you to know that. Like, did you see him just walk out and just... You saw that face?
Kenosuke Takeshita, I don't have a Valentine yet. So I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I don't know what you're doing February 14th, but like, I could find a way to be available. That's all.
I like that. I like that. After that, we had a promo from Deonna Purrazzo, essentially talking about her tattoos with Tony and how they've been friends. They pulled them pictures out from the Stardom days, the SWA belt, about their history. That was great. After that, we had the Bang Bang Scissor Gang come out, the Acclaimed, and obviously Bullet Club Gold. Lots of mixed reactions on the timeline about it. I didn't mind it. It was fairly short. Whether people like it or not, I think that it's doing what it's supposed to do as far as like pairing Bullet Club Gold with the Acclaimed has actually helped Bullet Club Gold get more over with the live audiences. Whether people like it or not.
The Acclaimed is just an act that can, for some reason, do no wrong. And the audience is always going to want to scissor. And so I think Bullet Club Gold was kind of at a point where you didn't necessarily know what was coming next. Like, direction-wise, I still don't know what's coming next. I know Bang Bang Scissor Gang's fun to say. I think, like we said, I think they're probably going to merge those belts. It's just going to be one set of trios belts, which I think makes sense. I thought the segment itself, I thought it was short. I thought it was fine. I would like to know why we're doing this, but I don't know. I think it's fun. I think the Acclaimed are fun. And I hope Juice Robinson comes back. Yeah, just like freaking relax.
We need Juice. That's the Collision Cowboy right there. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think people realized how important Juice Robinson was until he was gone.
Mm-hmm. If he was in this mix, I think a lot more people would see it click.
And also, like, he's just so funny. His comedic timing is always so great. So like him bouncing off the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, I think
it would have made a lot more sense.
Like, don't get me wrong, the other guys are funny, but nobody does it like Juice. Like, Juice really has been, I would say, the backbone of Bullet Club Gold. Since they've started. And like, you have to think, in those first couple weeks of Collision, when Collision first started, he wrestled every single episode.
They were
I always say, I know they be having so much fun in their house. Tony and Juice, they just be giggling up a storm. Just funny as hell. But you know, we got what is it? Rock Hard, rock. What is the name of his cardboard? Rockboard Juice Robinson is Rock. My fault.
Yeah. I was like, what are you saying?
I'm sorry. If that's it. So we had that promo. It was super short. And then we had Deonna Purrazzo versus Taya Valkyrie. I liked this match. I'm going to be honest. They have a lot of chemistry. You can tell they're very familiar with each other. And so I think that this match was pretty smooth. I mean, like, it wasn't like the best match ever, but you know, it did what it needed to do. I'll be real though. The best part was 100% Toni Storm on commentary. Like, absolutely. She had me in stitches. She said, what did she say? She told Taz, because you know he's the human suplex.
When she looked at Tony Schiavone, she said, you look different. They said, oh, you meant that's a different guy. It was very funny. Look, here's what I'll say. Taya Valkyrie, it's never clicked for me. Since before she came to AEW, I just never been her biggest fan. And that's cool, that's fine. But I'll say, like, I'm not going to sit up here and rag on her for no reason. She's just not my favorite style of wrestling. And I think Deonna Purrazzo has better matches with people that move at a faster pace and like works a little bit quicker. So this match to me lacked a little bit in fluidity. It felt a little bit like I don't know. Felt like the timing was off just slightly. But, you know, it was cool. It did what it needed to do. Deonna Purrazzo came off as what she needed to come off as. We're moving on. Obviously going to go ahead with that program with her and timeless Toni Storm. But, yeah, I wasn't for me. But it was cool.
I really did. The thing that I loved about the match was also one of the things I hated about the match, and that is the finish. I loved that submission. It looked like a modified cattle mutilation that Deonna did on Taya. However, the thing that I don't like is that the camera cut from it while Taya stopped to put the camera on Toni. Now, I understand her reactions are funny, but literally you just had to wait a couple seconds.
Half a second.
And I think that the way that they keep putting the camera on Toni throughout the match and not at non-strategic points, it just takes away, and I think it takes people out of it. And they have to get better about not being a distraction. But you know, oh my gosh, when she flew into Toni and she said, someone pissed in my chair.
I said, oh, did they?
I said, girl. But Toni Storm is as hilarious as always. After that, we went into on my list. We had another Bucks promo. They caught up with Darby Allin backstage. Matthew and Nicholas, y'all are so messy. Said, hey, Darby.
I love it.
They said, Darby, like, why are you messing with this old man? Like, you know, we used to be pals. You're not answering our texts. Like, what's up? Like, you know, you have been acting crazy. We could find you. You do know that, right? You know, we've been trying to get your attention.
Consider it a warning.
You know, don't call it to come back. And so Darby was like, listen, the only thing I care about is getting these tag team championships. And they said, oh, okay. So we're gonna have to get your attention another way. We'll have to get your attention another way. Said like, oh, he acted different. So asshole Bucks is my favorite thing.
I love it.
I the headsets.
Yeah, that was a great touch.
And the funny part is them being so nice to Renee and like treating her like a star employee after they essentially cussed her out, like, you know, 2 weeks ago. Like, them getting also, I forgot to say this, but when they originally got out of that car early and they said, God is good all the time, I said, y'all know what?
Did they actually?
Yes. They
I missed that.
They got
I
out
was
of the
looking at
car.
the suits.
When they got out of the car, they was like, huh, God is good. The other one said, all the time. I said,
All the time, God is good.
I didn't know y'all had Baptists. I didn't know y'all had Baptists in Rancho Cucamonga.
What y'all know about that, huh?
What y'all know about that? So we had that, and then last but certainly not least, we had the Swerve match versus an opponent of Hangman's choosing. It ended up being Rob Van Dam. Then Hangman comes on the screen and decides to tell us, he said, hey, guess what, Swerve? You can't read either.
I said,
guess what?
Right.
I can't just pick your opponent, but I'm going to pick your match type too. And it's going to be a hardcore match. And this match rocked. I forgot who I told this, but when I was on the Fightful Collision after show this past weekend, and I was talking to Cresta, and I said, I think that a Swerve RVD matchup will be a lot more like similar than we think. Like they have very similar styles, which we saw. Like they both use their legs a lot. They have a very fluid, clearly lucha influenced style, just very fluid. And you add the hardcore elements to that, like
I loved it. And I thought it was so fitting for both of them. And yeah, she had a good point. RVD did spoil that it was him on Twitter like 10 minutes before the match.
Are you talking about the whole effing show thing with the t-shirts?
No, he posted on his Twitter. He was like, RVD on Dynamite.
I will be honest. I had already known it was him because like I think everybody like the whole effing show, and then like earlier in the show they were like, opponents like these don't grow on cannabis trees, and they said yes, and they were like, and then it was another thing they said on commentary. They were like, it's going to take more than 4 minutes and 20 seconds to beat this guy, like 4:20 at RVD. So it was like, it was so many hints to the point to where it was like,
I was making my cookies. I missed it all. But yeah, so my first tease, I was like, well, I guess it's RVD. I saw he tweeted, hey, it's me. I said, all right, girl. The match was fantastic. I loved it. Like you said, that their styles fit each other so well, and it made so much sense. And I was sitting there and I was like, there's no way RVD can still move like that in 2022. It's 2024.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And I loved when he came out, like Samoa Joe's whole face changed. He loved it. He was so happy. He was so happy. Like, I love to see, like, it's just a certain quality, I think, in AEW that happens of just seeing the wrestlers enjoy being fans at times.
Yeah.
Just seeing, like, it's just a really raw type of passion there. And I think that is great. Oh, thank you for said I was great on the Collision post show. Thank you. But I think that it's just so cool. You see somebody really like Samoa Joe, like loving that. It was awesome. Somebody said RVD was running on weed and prayers. He sure was. Hey, man, listen, I'll tell somebody.
It works. All right.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Okay. But yes, this match was great. Swerve gets the win. Awesome match. Hangman comes back because these two are obsessed with each other. And Samoa Joe and the world title just happens to be in the middle. And they just like, keep going at each other again and again and again. You can't beat me. Yes, I can. You can't beat me. Yes, I can't. And they were like, by the end of, the rankings are coming out. And since we're both undefeated,
who's it going to be?
Who's it going to be? So, they're going to do it again next week. Hangman versus Swerve 3 on Dynamite. On Dynamite next week. Next week. And the winner will face Samoa Joe at Revolution.
I sat there and I said, absolutely no way. Because in my head, I don't know. In my head, I think I pushed this to Wembley. Like damn near. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I love this feud. We're doing this. We're gonna wait on this and it's gonna be good. They said, next week for free. I don't know what's left for y'all to do after you've now consumed each other's blood.
Hey.
I don't know creatively what else you can do, but there's nobody, I think, in wrestling right now that has the creativity that these two have to be able to come up with something that's going to be fantastic and compelling. I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be a 10 million out of 10 million, or as we say on Black Girl Wrestling, 5 out of 5 Black Power fists. But yeah, I said, no way. I'm not reading that right.
This is beautiful. This is very pleasing to me. I would like to thank
It's really beautiful to me.
And I would like to thank Tony Khan. This is amazing. Thank you. I do believe it's going to be a time limit draw, and I'm glad. I do think that it should be a time limit draw. That way, we could get our 3-way at Revolution, and also, I agree with you. So we can stretch this out to Wembley. Let's have this tiebreaker. Let's have this. This fourth match.
Why not
at Wembley? That's what I think. So I agree. I want this match to happen at Wembley too.
Oh, and you know what we didn't even mention? TK said he had a big announcement next week. A moneymaker, perchance.
Money is coming. I feel it. Ooh, my fingers. They
smells like cash in here.
That paper. Ooh. Yeah, this is about to get real disrespectful around here. I will say, a lot of y'all been talking real greasy on the internet, and I want you to know the tears you're crying, cry harder. It's about to get worse. It's only going to get worse from here. Like, I'm sorry if you hate them now.
Ooh, it's not going to be a good year for you.
When they said that Okada hired Barry Bloom, oh my gosh, y'all are done.
It's so
finished.
Oh my God.
Over.
Look. This company is so up and down, but when it's on and when it's hot, nobody can touch it.
Undefeated.
Nobody can touch it.
Do we think the announcement is Mercedes? I don't know. I don't think, if I was him personally, I'm not sure if I would do a specific talent announcement. I guess you can, of course. I think it's probably, I think it's going to be announcing like a building. Like, most people think like it's going to be announcing that the Boston show.
Yeah, which makes sense, and that essentially, tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, if they book the Garden, here's the thing. I'm not sure. I don't know if they can book the Garden. And the reason why I say this is because, like, with WWE right now, they have AEW blackballed from so many of like the top arenas in the country. So, like, I'm not sure if they can book the Garden. And also, like, in addition to having them blackballed from so many arenas, WWE also has this clause now that if they're running a show at a venue, I think there has to be like 60 days or something in between for another wrestling company to be able to book the said venue. So that's that. So I'm not sure. I would have to check. I don't know if TD Garden is one of those, but I would think so because it's where the Celtics play and it's the major arena in Boston.
Yeah, I think. I honestly hope it's not just a straight up a talent announcement because I think that's very anticlimactic. Like, even like when Punk came back and they were like, it's gonna be CM Punk. I was like, girl, come on, give us something, like, build to it.
But it was also it was like the first Rampage too. So
yeah. No, I mean afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, after Brawl Out where they were like, guess who's here?
Well,
no comment. Actually, well, no, never mind. Yeah, because if I start with Chicago,
because
I know you girls like to tussle.
I know y'all like to tussle.
I ain't scared of none of y'all, but still, I'll show restraint. For my ancestors, it's almost Black History Month. I'm trying to have some sense.
Amen.
What were we talking about?
Oh, the big announcement. The big announcement. We were talking about the big announcement. But so that is that. But now we're going to move on to the rankings.
Ooh.
So we currently, they have 4 sets of rankings. There's for the men's rankings, there's the women's rankings, there's the tag team rankings, and then there's the trios rankings. So I'm going to start with trios. So
Okay.
for the trios, obviously the champions are the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. Number 5 in the contenders is House of Black. Number 4 is FTR and Daniel Garcia. Number 3 is Dark Order. Number 2 is the Hardys and Mark Briscoe. And number 1 is Bullet Club Gold.
Me when I lie.
You know, hey,
I just made that shit up.
it is what it is. Moving on to tag team rankings. Number 5 is Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. Number 4 is Private Party. Number 3 is Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. Number 2 is John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Huh?
What?
Never mind. Let me just keep going. I'm gonna just keep going. And number 1 is Darby Allin and Sting.
Okay.
Moving on to the women contenders. Number 5, Mariah May. Period. 4 is Sky Blue. Number 3 is Hikaru Shida. Number 2 is Thunder Rosa. And number 1 is Deonna Purrazzo. So I'm going to be honest, because there are 2 women's titles, I am going to assume that the number 1 contender for the women's world championship will be Deonna, obviously. And then for the TBS belt, Julia Hart's next challenger might be Thunder Rosa. Who knows? And then for the men, number 5, we have Roderick Strong. Number 4 is Jon Moxley. Number 3 is Adam Copeland. Number 2 is Hangman Adam Page. And number 1 is Swerve Strickland. But obviously, as we both know, the number 1 and 2 are a tie when it comes to the men. So the tiebreaker will take place next week on Dynamite. So those are the rankings. Those are the rankings.
They're a bit strange.
I'm not gonna lie. Those tag and trios rankings, they pulling shit out their ass. Respectfully. Everything else, the men's and the women's make sense. Like the singles ones make sense. But
yeah, but get the hell out of my face with Dark Order in 2.
Girl.
Don't.
My thing is, somebody said, are they counting ROH? Well, if they were, then Athena would be number 1.
This ain't ROH. I'm like, we can't just be throwing shit on there every once in a while. Like, come on. And what happened to Top Flight and Action Andretti? Haven't they been winning trios matches? They're not on there.
You're right.
Like, come on.
You're right. Because I said the Hardys and Mark Briscoe are a team.
Since when?
My thing is, I missed one Rampage, and I guess I don't be knowing what's going on.
Just because you've teamed together doesn't make you a team.
Well, we got a couple ragtag makeshift.
We're freestyling.
Like, why are John Silver and Alex Reynolds number 2? Like for the were they number 2 or number 3? Yeah, they're number 2. They're over Bryan and Claudio.
And the Bucks aren't on there at all. So how do you justify the Bucks getting the match at
Revolution?
Revolution?
The Bucks haven't wrestled. Well,
I know, but
the Bucks said that said that they were going to pull some strings being EVP.
Good point. I forgot we were talking about Matthew and Nicholas.
Yeah, we're talking about Matthew and Nicholas. Thank you.
Executive.
So that's where we are with the rankings. It's
boo.
Woo! Listen, the men's and the women's is interesting. I think that's where it's the most interesting.
That makes sense.
It's a lot lined up for AEW right now. Big announcement coming next week, and we have Hangman versus Swerve next week, and we have CMLL versus BCC next week. That is what's currently been announced. That's what we got. Tons to be excited about. Any final thoughts?
My final thought is that this big announcement better not piss me off, because there's way too much that it could be, that if it's something stupid, I'm going to lose my damn mind. All right? If he come out here talking about AEW just sold 5 tickets to All In, I'm going to fight.
I'm not going to lie. Oh, if he been like, oh, we just bought so much stuff for all that.
Why the hell would I care? I don't get a cut. Tell me who's wrestling. Fat Girls Club.
Also, I forgot. Darby and Sting versus Ricky Starks and Big Bill for the AEW World Tag Team Championships next week. So it's lots to talk about. Somebody said it could be Mercedes Okada or the Warner Brothers Discovery deal. All the dirt sheets said that it has nothing to do with Warner Brothers Discovery. I wish that it did, because I need y'all to hurry up and get on Max. I'm tired of doing all this. I'm tired of paying all this money for everything. Put everything on Max. But anywho, that's where we are. Super excited. I will say, like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. There was a time last year. I say it last year like it was a full year ago. It was actually only a couple months ago, where doing this show truly felt like a chore. Not because of the actual show, but it was because I didn't know what they was doing on Dynamite. It was just like, whoo, girl. Outside of the Continental Classic, that was fun. But I can honestly say that I get super excited. I'm super excited. Jericho versus Takeshita is next week too. Yeah, that's.
I'm gonna get you out of there, baby. Takeshita, don't worry. Pack your bags.
Takeshita has to win. Takeshita has to win decisively.
I have a plan.
Decisively. Don't drag it out.
Also, I was just gonna say real quick. Takeshita beat Kenny clean twice. If Jericho match is any way competitive, I can't say what I wanted to say because this goes on the public internet, but it better not be. Yeah, check it out.
You know, like the Mortal Kombat characters.
Loading.
Fight.
Full force.
Kenny, you better put them Street Fighter controllers down and get down here.
Yeah, I would like to challenge Chris Jericho to a Texas death match.
Absolutely. Also, speaking of Kenny Omega, I tweeted this, but Kenny Omega, if you're feeling good, if you're feeling decent, if you're feeling well, I would like to see you on commentary at Revolution, for you to call the Bucks versus Sting and Darby, John Moxley style. I would like to see you at Revolution. Please come to Revolution. We would like to see you at Revolution.
We love you, Kenny Omega. Please come.
Please, Kenny Omega, come to Revolution. Just sit in commentary. You don't have to wrestle. You don't even have to put on your fancy gear. You can wear your Red Con t-shirts and your shorts, and you can come over to at Revolution.
And we'll get you whatever you need, whatever
just come to Revolution.
You might need to. Yeah,
please come to Revolution, Kenny Omega, please. In North Carolina.
That just made me so sad.
Somebody asked, will the Dynamite book be a Revolution? Are you going to be a Revolution?
Maybe.
Please come.
I might be now. Everything to me is a delusion and a prayer. I'm like, well, maybe I'll figure it out. I don't know.
I will. I have a ticket.
Okay.
I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to be doing media yet. They haven't sent out approvals or anything yet for media. I don't know. But hell out what I'm gonna be there. I bought my ticket on pre-order. Like I don't play like that. I'll be honest, and I know some of these people out here, they be like, "Oh, if I don't get media credentials, I'm not going." Or
she said, "I'm going."
Wait till the last minute. One thing about me, I buy tickets. I don't need nobody. Ain't nobody gonna tell me where I can't go. So
you let them know, girl.
But yes, I will surely be there at Revolution. It's gonna be a great time. But yeah, that's really it. We're just rambling at this point, but thank you everybody for tuning in to another edition of the Dynamite Book. Clearly, there's going to be a lot to talk about next week and the week after that and the week after that. So stay tuned. And once again, happy Black History Month. Black Power. Black Power. Hey, we'll see you next week, y'all. Bye.